Hey everybody. So I thought I would go through a little bit of my design process as I'm developing my product here. So often what's really helpful is to find products out there that are doing something similar to what you want to do and just learn from them as much as you can. So I was doing that. I actually came up with a design that I really liked, and I was like, I wonder how I could make this work. So I found this thermostat from a brand called Zen. I found it on eBay for like 20 bucks. Super cool, and it actually still works. So what I really liked about this was that it has these little dots that kind of represent things. So they can make the text and all that. And I like the capacitive touch. I also like the symbols at the bottom. I thought they looked really clean. And I was really curious, how do they get the light to be so pinpoint without bleeding over into other lights? I just really like this. I like a lot about this. Even like when you go all the way up, the up button goes away when you're at the highest level, and it gives you this feedback, which I really like. I think a lot of capacitive touch things don't have enough feedback. This is really well thought out. So what I want to do is I want to take this thing apart. I want to figure out what is going on the inside. How do they get this to look the way it does and to react the way it does and all that. So yeah, let's go ahead and take this bad boy apart. Look at that. So basically, now I'm interacting with the electronics themselves. So with capacitive touch, really what you're doing is you're just disturbing this capacitive field. And once the device senses that disturbance, so that change in capacitance, that's when it reacts and you tell it what to do. So what they did, which I think was really clever, is they put these little spring pins here. And really all it's doing, I believe, from what I understand, is that it's pulling that capacitive field up closer to the surface of this. So these little spring pins fit in some grooves here next to the buttons. So it kind of envelopes that whole area, engulfs it maybe is a better way of putting that. Yeah, it's super cool though, so I can interact with that. But you can see it's just a bunch of LEDs. It's a matrix of LEDs that they turn on and off, program it a certain way. Even I think these white around the LEDs to help reflect some of that light back up so it gets as strong as it possibly can where you want it to be. So let's take a look at the case. So the case is actually really interesting too. So you have this white acrylic here, and that has it's actually, I believe it's clear acrylic, but with a white mask on the back. But then there's a black mask that covers any light they don't want to shine through. So if you can see, all these black areas is parts they don't want the light to shine through. And that's how I get these really clean looking icons and clean dots and all that. And they get that LED right up on there. And it helps, the white helps to diffuse it and make it so you don't see have this little hot spot. It's really interesting the way they did this. I think it's really clever. And what I like about this is that it's very clean. You don't see anything that you don't need to see in that moment. So you don't just see a lot of garbage information that's just really not relevant to you in that moment. So what you're only going to see is just what you need in that moment. So you only need 4 buttons and then 1 icon. That's all you're going to see. And I think that's really clean. I think it's a lot clearer to the user. And that's what I'm really interested in with this product. So super cool. I think there's a lot to learn from it, but I'm hoping to mimic something like this. What I think is really cool is that you can take apart these things and you can destroy them. For 20 bucks, I learned quite a bit, and I learned a lot about how I can implement some of these things in my own design. So super cool. I recommend you doing it if you're developing your own product. Product research is huge. There's no sense in trying to figure it out if somebody else already has, and you can learn from that. So yeah, best 20 bucks I ever spent. All right, you guys stay cool.